What a Wild Spirit Brings by Lil, Chapter 47. Finally, Gimp broke Lil's brooding. So, I have had a few surprising bits of information myself today. I can understand why she feels like she does, if she cares about you. I don't want to be like her, little brave one. I don't want to constantly feel in the dark. Please tell me about yourself. Tell me about before I met you. Where are you from? Were your parents like? Are they still alive? Do you have a family? Who are you, Lil? The girl sat back, breathing in before replying. I I remember when I didn't trust you. I remember trying to keep everything I could from you when we first met. Strange, I feel compelled to trust you now, except, well, I tried to make Mitt and Haldani be my friend. I tried to trick Damien into being my friend. I even tried to impress the Entha into friendship. You're my friend even though I've never asked you to be. I appreciate that, Gimp. The Haldani didn't reply, just pursed her lips and kept waiting for Lil to answer her questions. When I came to you at the college, I had just become Entha. Damien met me because I had run away from where I was raised, run away to live like an animal in the woods. Grilla Heldani died thinking I was a wild girl. She died saving us from pirates after Damien's mother threw us out because her daughter had the gift and she didn't. I didn't grow up with the Entha. I didn't grow up in Andros either. I actually grew up Caldorcan, believe it or not. I hated my life. Other children played, but I was always by myself. I always had my face buried in a book, was running off, was imagining somewhere else. My parents tried to beat sense into me. Timble was not a horrible village, I suppose, compared to some I have seen since, but I hope still to never go back, ever. I am sure the people who called themselves my parents are still alive there, living the same way they always did, each day just like the last. Even festival days in Timble were almost the same, except larger meals and dancing. But then I never joined in the dance. No one wanted to dance with me. I always just watched. Always by myself, I watched everyone else be glad to be where they were and with each other. I was never glad. I never learned to dance until, well, I never really learned. Lil fell quiet, and they sat with each other in the darkness, both considering what had been said, Lil trying not to remember twirling with Damien. Finally, Gim said, Well, it is a start. Your life seems like a hard one to me. You are quite remarkable. I don't know if you realize that because your mind is clouded by sorrow and bad memories, but if you ever need someone to listen, I will always listen, Lil. Thank you, Kim. I don't know anything about me being remarkable. More remarkable things keep happening to me, and I keep meeting amazing people. But I appreciate the thought. Gimp nodded and then got up, dusting off her skirt. She turned and held out a hand with a grin. Lil raised an eyebrow and questioned. I think it's time you got to dance. Lil laughed, but Gimp playfully held her hand even further forward. The girl took her hand, grinning now herself, though a little trepidatious, and Haldani yanked her up from the ground and close. She put one of Lil's hands on her hip and kept the holding of the other. Then they started twirling about, swinging. Lil tried not to trip, and the red chuckled as she stumbled. Despite stepping on her feet a couple of times, the Haldani never stopped swirling her with her until they laid down to sleep. By the time they were tired to the point of getting rest, Lil and Gimp were both laughing and singing songs together to dance to. The woman never once got on to her for the terrible dancer that she was, and Lil was relieved to end the day smiling. As soon as her eyes closed, she ran through the wilder toward Trixian. Her lover was awaiting her on the secret hill, naked. Lil couldn't even find words to greet her, and the wild one didn't seem to mind at all, but just came to her eager for kisses. Lil realized that as much as she had meant to discuss Blaxian, conversation could be overrated. After exploring again the wonderland of Trixian skin, and they were just cuddling, fondling each other's hair, Lil realized what she had wanted to talk about. Your sister is taking me to meet Ongar. Hmm? She's mad at me. Mm-hmm. She's usually mad at me, too. Lil frowned. Trixian hadn't taken a single thing she'd said seriously at all. Her naked companion was still intent on toying with a curly strand. Trixian, I don't know what to say to her, Lil said more firmly. Absent-mindedly, Trixian responded. Then why say anything? Lil grabbed Trixian's cheek to nudge her to look into her face. The woman pouted. Frustration was starting to clench in Lil's throat. I'm trying to talk to you. And I don't want to talk about my sister. She's always in a bad mood. So what? Can't we just enjoy lying together? Lil wanted to give in to those big, seductive eyes, but the clawing thoughts were tearing at the back of her mind, and she couldn't resist them any longer. Trixie, I need to know what you want me to do about her. I don't know if you want me to just tell her we are together, or if you want me to try to avoid it until we're together in the waking world, or whether you just want to tell her yourself without me. Trixie sat up irritated. I don't want to tell her anything. Why does she need to know? Because when she finds out, if we had been keeping it a secret from her, she'll be furious. Don't you want to be honest with Blaxian? No, she won't find out. You just need to keep your mouth shut. Oh, she'll not find out. You think once we live together she won't visit? She's your sister. Live together? Lil, what we do here and how we live outside the Wilder are two separate things. Don't you see? You get to keep your life and I get to keep mine, she said, then pulling the unbelieving Lil close enough to kiss teasingly, she added, and we get to have this. But, Lil stuttered, dumbfounded. Don't you like this? Trixie asked, hand stroking Lil's thigh, moving up and in toward her pelvis. Lil tried to think of some way to respond, something to argue, but could only find herself giving in to the pleasure of contact with Trixian's flesh. When she finally returned to her own dreams, and Trixian was melting away to return to her own as well, Lil was thinking, maybe the woman was right. Did Blaxian really need to know? But then, did she really just want to be with Trixie only here? It made more sense, though, she admitted to herself. How could she expect Trixie to give up her life as a wild one with the Antha, to move to Yedem with her, to take care of her brother? When she returned, it would be fair to make Trixie give up her life just because they were both women's women.